we speak to farmers every now and again, and they're all about obviously raising the animals, but they drop them off at the slaughterhouse and then that's it. And I guess you never witnessed the animals that you raised being slaughtered. And so there's always that disconnect, I think, for a lot of farmers between they know what happens in the slaughterhouse, but they don't watch it. And maybe that's to continue to create that distance so that they can keep doing their job, do you think?
I think so, yes. I think a lot of farmers do get very attached to the animals, but you're told that you have to sort of steel yourself to the reality of meat farming, and that's what people have always done, and it's just part of the job. So I just found it increasingly difficult to sort of ignore the reality of it. So maybe I was just weak, I don't know.
I think you had a big heart.
Yeah, you were in touch with your innate compassion.
Thank you for saying so. Yes, I just couldn't do it anymore, but for a long time didn't know how to get out of the situation.
And was there a specific turning point, Jay, that you can recall?
We've always been interested in sort of eco and green issues, and so we've had quite a few alternative camps and summer festivals on the farm. And a lot of the people who come to these things are vegetarians or vegans. And at one fairly recent camp, one of the vegan chefs said that people were complaining that they didn't know they were going to visit a beef farm, and they wouldn't have come if they'd known. And this person said, have you heard of vegan horticulture? And of course I hadn't, because it's the complete opposite to what I was trying to persuade myself to do. And it took me about 18 months to phone the Vegan Society, and they visited the farm, and that was the turning point.
Wow, that is something. Sometimes it's just a line that someone says, a complete stranger, that can plant that seed, and look what it sprouted to. So,
and yet, interestingly, by hosting the events at your farm, in a way, you kind of invited,
that alternative idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think a lot of other farmers have this kind of internal battle, if you like. I know I've spoken to a farmer in Scotland. We were doing some outreach, and he was actually an Australian cattle farmer. And we had a very interesting conversation with him. And I'm also thinking of the former cattle farmer, Howard Lyman from Montana. He was, talking about this internal struggle that he had for so many years. It must be very, very difficult, Jay, to go against everything that you've been told, everything that's been part of farming culture, the mentality that you've been raised in. I just can't kind of imagine how difficult that internal struggle would be for a farmer.
It must be very difficult, but I can't personally say, because I never kind of bought into it fully. I was only sort of doing it because that's what the farm did, and that's what it had all, done for a lot of years, and it's tradition and heritage, and also the farm has significant wildlife features. We have traditional hay meadows, which are increasingly rare in Britain, and what's called unimproved pasture land, which has been grazed probably for thousands of years since the last ice age. And so everybody said, keeping the cattle is what you need to do on the farm to maintain these features. And so as I was very keen on sort of nature and trying to make the farm as good as possible, keeping cows seemed to be the only thing to do.
Jay, one of the reasons why we love your story in particular is because your farm, being a small family farm set in the bucolic countryside, it's the type of farm the animal products industries romanticise to try to get consumers to feel good about buying their products. And yet, even as the farmer, you could see that exploitation is exploitation, irrespective of the type of farm. Could you speak more to that?
This was just the type of farm that people say should be encouraged, small scale, sustainable. We didn't buy in any cereal products to feed the cattle. It was entirely grass-fed, organic. We tried to have good welfare for the animals. And so people said, why on earth do you want to change? You're just the sort of farm we should keep. But I think probably that sort of made me more liable to look for something different to do. The fact that we were trying to do it as well as possible in the first place. Farming's different than industry. I know it's classed as an industry, but